regions in and around Montreal have said they want a piece of the REM pie. From the West Island to the East End and the North Shore of the city, mayors have come forward giving their explanations as to why they think a REM line would benefit their citizens. But does that mean it's actually doable, that it's a good idea? Our next guest, try and help us get to the bottom of it. Pierre Barriot is a transportation planning expert at Université de Montréal. Pierre, great to have you back on the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
So give me your take here when you hear about REM de l'Est and you hear about the Couronne Nord, the North Shore wants it, and you hear, about places off island towards the west. I hear about people in Vaudreuil not happy that the Île-aux-Torts Bridge does not have a component that would allow them to put a REM there in the future, a REM line there in the future. When you look at all of these people clamoring for a piece of the REM action, which ones make sense and which ones don't to you?
Well, the thing is, I remember in 2015, during the public consultations of Phase 1, I was the only person that said we have to start planning Phase 2 now, because if not, everybody's going to want one for themselves. And this is exactly what's happening. And the reality is there's the potential for about 300 kilometers in the Greater Montreal area for REM network.
And to put that in perspective, sorry, Pierre, I just want to put that in perspective, 300 kilometers. What is the current plan? Like Phase 1 of the REM is how many kilometers?
Well, Phase 1 and Phase 2, we're at, I think, 98 kilometers.
Wow. Okay.
So Phase 1 is like 67.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Gotcha. Sorry,
so
go ahead.
3 times. So we need twice what is Phase 1 and 2 to include going all the way to Chambly, going from Saint-Anne-de-Bellevue to Vaudreuil, going to the east end of Montreal, a line in Laval, a line on the North Shore, and a line on the South Shore going from Châteauguay all the way to Boucherville, which I'm part of a team that's studying that. So everybody's studying all of these corridors, and the ridership is there. And it's the only way that we're going to solve congestion in the long term in Montreal.
And of course, Pierre, I just was mentioning right before you came on, 100,000 more cars on the roads in Quebec in 2020, even despite the pandemic. Big increase, including lots of SUVs and trucks. So, Pierre, are you saying, every single proposal you've seen, whether it's East, the North Shore, the West, every single proposal makes sense? We should do them all?
There's some little elements, for example, on the North Shore, maybe ending at Deux Montagnes, not going all the way to Oka, something like that. And but there's a bit of tweaking, but basically the demand is there. The reason because people in the boroughs use their car all the time is because there's no good mass transit except for going downtown. And if you want our city to grow and the metropolitan area to double in size in the next 100 years, without building new highways, we have no choice.
We're with transportation planning expert Pierre Barriot talking about the REM and the various proposed expansions of the REM. Pierre, it seems to me it's kind of insane to be talking about all of these extra extensions when we can't even agree on who's going to pay and how we're going to get the REM to the airport. This is a real head scratcher. Where do you put the airport expansion on the list? Ahead or behind some of these other plans?
The airport expansion has to be done right away. It is one of the main reasons why Phase 1 was actually built. The logic behind it was they wanted a line from Brossard to downtown and from downtown to the airport. And dropping the portion to going to the airport is totally nonsense. And as soon as the pandemic starts disappearing and people start flying again, people will be stuck waiting an hour or two to get to the airport from downtown. And it's for Montreal's economic development and tourism. We have no choice but to put that on the express track.
It seems to me, Pierre, I'd love to know your thoughts, that the provincial government, the Quebec government, is basically saying, you know what, I think we can squeeze the feds to pay for this. And that's what they're trying to do. Put it on the federal government, say, hey, you run the airports, it's on you, give us the money. And that's why it's not happening. Am I onto something here, or is there something else at play?
That's pretty much it. You've summed it up fairly well. The Constitution of 1867 states that, as powers were divided over time, airports are federal. So the provincial government's position is, hey, feds, why don't you chip in? And it's not an unreasonable request.
But it's a request that might make it not happen, right?
Right now it's just politicking. Don't worry. There's elections coming up, and I'm sure that the federal government is going to pony up.
Okay, cool. I love that. It's going to come down to elections. Okay, one last thing, Pierre. I need to get your take, okay? When they announced the REM de l'Est, right, they announced that there would be a portion of the REM that would be above ground through downtown on René Lévesque. I read this and I had to double check. I said, no, that's impossible, right? This is going to be the ugliest, dumbest thing I've ever heard. That's my take. I think above ground through the heart of downtown is a dumb idea, but I'm no planning expert. I don't know the cost and that kind of stuff. What is your take on an above ground René Lévesque portion to the REM?
Well, to give you an idea, going above ground will cost probably around $125 million a kilometer, whereas going underground is going to cost probably somewhere in the neck of the woods of around $800 million a kilometer.
Uh-huh.
So that's sort of the decision that they made to save almost 600 odd million per kilometer to go down, to go above ground. Because the problem is unfortunately, it's the yellow line of the subway is so deep that the REM would have to go underneath that line. And to do that, it would have to become underground starting before even Jacques Cartier Bridge. And all of the stations downtown couldn't be done with escalators. They'd have to all have elevators because it would be so deep.
Wow. Okay.
So we're really in a pickle here.
Man.
Underground is hard and above ground is hard.
Jeez, and ugly. Above ground is ugly too. You left that one out. Pierre, great talking to you. Got to leave it there. Thanks for coming on.
Talk to you soon.
Pierre Barriot, transportation planning expert at Université de Montréal.